I honestly can't believe I'm making this video right now. And once again, I've gone back and forth about making this video. And I just always land on talking about miscarriage because I just feel like there's just not that much awareness about it. And it's just become glaringly obvious to me as I've gone through each one. So, yeah, it's been a few weeks since I've uploaded a video. A lot has been going on for my family and I. But I do want to sit down and talk about the miscarriage that I suffered a couple of weeks ago, like 2 weeks to the day. Today is Monday. And 2 weeks ago, I started having my fourth miscarriage. So I'm going to, kind of take you through what's been going on and talk about what our next steps are and kind of what's been going through my mind for the past 2 weeks. So I found out that I was pregnant about 4 weeks ago, in the beginning of May. And so I had been on progesterone for a couple of cycles. Sam and I started trying again in March. And I'm going to make a video about my experience with progesterone because, again, I think it is something very common for women to be on during pregnancy to help sustain pregnancies, but there's not a lot of information about the side effects and, how it affects your person. But anyway, I was on the progesterone and I kept getting negative pregnancy tests. I had started testing like really early and I just kept on getting negatives. So the day that my period was supposed to arrive, I got a negative test. So I stopped taking the progesterone. And Sam was like, well, you should probably keep taking pregnancy tests until your period comes back just to be sure. So I did. So, I can't remember the exact date, but Monday, like 4 weeks ago, the beginning of May, I took another pregnancy test and I had just been taking the Pregmate ones, the really cheap ones. That day, I got a really, really faint positive, like incredibly faint, like painfully faint. But, I had been going through this for a couple of months and I was just like, of the mindset, you're not going to look for a line. If it's negative, it's going in the trash and you're not looking at it again. So, I would look at it, it would be negative and I would throw it away. And when I looked at this one, it was definitely there. You kind of had to look, but it was definitely there. So I was going down to my parents. I called my mom. I asked her to get me some more expensive pregnancy tests, and I was going to take them the next day. And I started that progesterone again. Or I started progesterone again when I got to my parents. And yeah, the next day I took a first response. I took two. I took a digital and I took a line, and it came back positive. And I was so shocked. I was so happy, but I was so shocked. And just really in disbelief because I did not think that I was pregnant. Although there were some symptoms that I was experiencing that seemed odd to me for getting negative responses. Spent like 30 minutes absolutely elated and excited, and then that was replaced by anxiety and fear that I was going to have another miscarriage. Because even though it was positive, the line was still faint for being 2 days late for my period. And it just, at this point, I feel like no matter what, I'm going to have anxiety about pregnancy. But yeah, I started taking like my nausea stuff and all that kind of stuff. And during this time, I cannot tell you how severe the anxiety was. It was at moments almost more than I could take, and just so nervous that I was going to lose this baby and feeling like it's never going to happen for me. But anyway, I kept taking tests, and during that week it was getting stronger. The line was getting stronger, and the next week I would take it like every couple of days. I would take one every couple of days, and the line was getting stronger. Not at the point or rate that I was really comfortable with, but it was still getting darker. So I was 4 weeks and 5 days when I found out. I had an appointment scheduled for blood work at 6 weeks. And a week after I found out that I was pregnant, my grandfather passed away. We got the news that my grandfather had passed away. And I was devastated by that news. He was in poor health, but I think we were all a little bit shocked by it, because every time I had talked to somebody back home, the answer was kind of like, he's never going to get better, but he's been stable and, doing okay lately. And so when we got that news, I was just shocked and really devastated, and it made my anxiety a lot worse than it had been before. So my sisters came to stay with us. My parents went to his funeral, and like that whole week I was taking tests. I was feeling like I never got morning sickness, which was a little odd for me, but it didn't concern me too much, because with my previous pregnancies I had morning sickness and I still lost the babies. So it wasn't concerning me too much. I was actually pretty thankful that I had only had a couple of bouts of morning sickness, and I was still having fatigue and low energy and things like that. So I was still feeling pregnant. But that Friday came when I was 6 weeks to go get my blood done, and my sister came with me, and the lady took a test, and at first it came back negative. Now, to be fair, I drink all day long. I chug water all day long. So by the time we got to the doctor's office, when I peed for the pregnancy test, it was clear. Like it was pretty much like water. And FYI, my doctors are completely fine with the amount of water I drink. But she did a blood test for my HCG levels, which we wouldn't have gotten until the next week, just to make sure that they were good. And for reference point, what you want to see, or what you should be seeing at 6 weeks, is like in the thousands. Your HCG level should be in the thousands by that time. And I wasn't going to get the results, but it made me nervous. So I came back home and I took my own pregnancy tests, and they came back pretty strong for the amount of water that I had been drinking. So that kind of relaxed me a little bit. But then about an hour and a half later, I started having severe cramps in my abdomen and my lower back. And it really freaked me out. And I was like, well, maybe I have a UTI. So we went to urgent care. They put me on medication just in case. They didn't find bacteria, but they found trace amounts of blood. And that day, I kind of knew in my heart that it was going to happen. Like, I know my body. It's happened, a bunch of times now. So I kind of had a feeling. I just was trying to grasp at anything else, because I just didn't know how I was gonna deal with another one. Like, it was, I didn't know. So the next morning I took another pregnancy test, and it was a little bit fainter than I had taken the Thursday before. So I took a pregnancy test on Thursday. I had my appointment on Friday. The pregnancy test that I had taken that Thursday was the strongest line that I had gotten so far. And then I took one on Saturday, and it was a little bit fainter. And it was my birthday, of course. And I was just like to Sam, I just have a really bad feeling. And, you know, he was trying to be encouraging, and like, you know, we don't know anything, but I did know. And then that Sunday evening, I, again, was having really bad cramps, and I was just like, I really think I'm going to have a miscarriage, because all of the symptoms that I was having, it just, but there was like a little bit of hope I was trying to hold on to, you know, and there were times where I really felt like this was it, and I was going to have a baby, and we were going to get to the ultrasound, and we were going to be fine. But the next morning, Monday morning, Memorial Day, I took another pregnancy test, and it was extremely faint. It was almost down to like what I had gotten. It was almost the same faintness as the first response that I had taken at 4 weeks and 5 days. And I just knew. I knew that it was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I knew. And sure enough, about 2 hours later, I started bleeding. And I just broke down. I felt so confused. I felt so heartbroken. Like, nothing prepares you for it. Nothing. Knowing in my heart did not prepare me for it when it happened. Like, and in that moment, every feeling was just, I can't do this again. And obviously, you know, I did, and the Lord gave me the strength to get through it. Catherine was supposed to leave that Tuesday, but she ended up staying with me, which was amazing. I don't know what we would have done if she hadn't stayed with us, because Sam obviously has work, and he can't just take off work. So I was pretty discouraged, to say the least. And I still am, if I'm being completely honest. But just the confusion, the loss, the pain, it is so overwhelming. I can't even describe it. I cannot adequately tell you how just defeated you feel. Like, and Sam and I talked a little bit, and we were like, what are we going to do? Like, and you know, it's not a good time to make any type of decision, which we didn't, but I set an appointment with my doctor, and I went to see him, and he finally referred us to a fertility specialist. So we are going to have tests done. We had our first appointment last week, and just like talking about history and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So within the next couple of months, we're going to be having a lot of tests done. But if I'm being completely honest, at this point, it's not that encouraging to me, because number one, there's always a chance that they're not going to find anything. Like, I would be really, really surprised, because both the doctors that I saw, both my regular OB and the fertility specialist, was like, you know, this shouldn't be happening. Like, you should not be miscarrying every single time you're pregnant. And most women in their life will miscarry. but most women go on to have healthy pregnancies after, and so far that has not happened for me. And I've been experiencing what they call recurring pregnancy loss, and I think it's like 1% of women will experience that. So obviously something's going on. Like, you know, this shouldn't keep happening. But I don't know, everything has just felt overwhelming, and I don't really know what we're gonna do. Like, I don't know how much I'm willing to put my body through, even though I also feel like if there's something to treat, and, you know, it could, what's the word I'm looking for? Advance the chance of sustaining a pregnancy, I feel like we're gonna want to do it, because I didn't realize how much I felt called to, you know, bear children until the possibility was at this point. Like, I didn't realize until it was potentially going to be taken away, if that makes any sense. And, you know, if Sam had his way, we would, you know, have 7, 8, 9, 10 kids. And, you know, I never thought it was likely that I would be able to carry 10 kids, but I definitely thought I would be able to carry more than one. So I've been trying to kind of come to peace with that, like with the possibility that it might not happen. But I don't think that I have yet. And I've been trying to, you know, just be at peace. But there's something that I kind of wanted to touch on, and that is, it's called suffering for a reason. Like, and it's okay to be in great times of grief as a Christian, as anybody. Like, the Lord doesn't look at you suffering and, you know, ignore the fact that that you're in pain and you're in suffering. Like, he doesn't ignore that, and he puts those things in your life for a reason. And I know that, and I don't know the reason right now. I really don't. And I'm not trying to, like, you know, search for the reason at this point. I don't think that would do me any good. But it's okay to cry out to the Lord in grief and sadness. It's okay to... You got strawberries?
Strawberries. What are you doing?
I'm filming a video.
I see Sasha.
No, it's not Auntie Catherine.
Doing.
I'm filming a video.
For you. Honey.
No. So I'm not really... Elephant.
Three.
It's one elephant.
One elephant.
Yes.
One
It's a microphone.
microphone. Microphone.
No, you can't take it. Can I have a kiss? Are you kidding? Thank you. Oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Whoa! You okay? Go get some. You know, I don't think that being a Christian means you're joyful 100% of the time. Like, that would be silly. Like, and that's part of living in a fallen world. You will experience sadness no matter who you are, no matter what situation you're in. But, yeah, at this point, I'm feeling a little bit lost I'm not really sure what we're going to do in the future. Like, we don't know anything, so it's really hard to try to make a decision, and we haven't been. We're just like, we know that we're going to pursue tests and trying to figure out if there's something wrong, which clearly something's wrong. Both the doctors think that I can sustain a pregnancy. It just depends on, it's just a matter of how much help I'm going to need. So I feel like we probably will try again at some point. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, if that makes any sense. And the recovery time, it gets longer and longer with each one. It's been 2 weeks and I still don't feel fully recovered. I went to church yesterday morning and I had to stay home in the evening, and still having a lot of pain and just very low energy. I lost a ton of blood. So I'm still not feeling fully recovered. So the recovery time just seems to take longer and longer. So it's a lot to consider. And I guess the reason I keep talking about it is because I feel like a lot of times we only see, successes. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Please don't misunderstand me. I am so happy for anybody who doesn't have trouble, or anybody who is able to, okay. Just give me 1 minute. I'm almost done. All right, sweetie? It's a wonderful thing if you don't struggle, but I guess I would like to see more awareness about the fact that sometimes it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes you keep trying and it keeps failing, and I don't know why, and I guess at this point we are trying to figure out why, but on a spiritual level, I'm not trying to, argue with God or figure out what God's purpose is. I do think one day it will be revealed to me, but that day isn't today. So I just kind of want people to realize that, it doesn't always happen easily. I took it for granted before the miscarriages. I really did. Don't touch. I really did. I took for granted that this was going to be easy for me. I never thought that I was going to be in a position where I would have to go to a fertility specialist and get tests and possibly treatments. I didn't, and maybe that, I know that that's not really the best mindset to have about it, but I feel like most people don't expect to be in that situation unless they know from a very early age that they have a condition or something like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I'm feeling really sad and I'm feeling really discouraged. Yeah, I guess that's my little update. I am so incredibly thankful for Roger, for my family, for Sam. They are huge blessings. Roger is such a blessing, and I just thank the Lord for him every single day and want to hold him as tightly as I possibly can, even though. So yeah, that's my little update. Thank you for watching this. I hope that it was helpful for somebody, and yeah, I would appreciate your prayers, and yeah, I guess I will see you in my next video.